Salam and welcome to Ramadan 2021 Iftar day number 13. This day was a glorious sunshining day and I was so happy to prepare Iftar. It was actually a little bit of a rest day for us. We were out late last night and got to sleep in a little bit this morning after we got up for Fajr and went back. You know, our sleep is limited this month, but Alhamdulillah, this is the month for that, to be able to benefit from our fasting and our salah, and that is what is most important. On my menu tonight, we went almost all vegetarian. We did baigan choka, my way, not the traditional way, but it's definitely different, but I hope that you try it out at least once, if not more often. And I also did some bake that I fried. I also had fried saltfish with tomatoes. I stuffed okra with bell peppers and eggplant, and I baked those. Susie came over and she brought some fried chana. She also made had dates that was stuffed with pistachio. I made vermicelli for dessert because my grandma asked me to make vermicelli, so I hope that she enjoys watching this vlog with that. Before we get to our cooking though, let's continue with the 3 names of the 99 names of Allah. For the first name, Al-Hafid, it means the protector. He is the one who protects the heavens and the earth and everything in them. And the second name, Al-Wali, it means the guardian. He is the guardian who manages everything and disposes of all of its affairs. And finally, An-Nasir, it means the helper. Allah is your protector and He is the best of helpers. If you really enjoy our vlog, please subscribe, like, and share. And I look forward to doing tomorrow's Iftar for you. And I hope that you had a wonderful Iftar tonight. To prepare my saltfish, I have some olive oil that I'm gonna add to this pot that's already been preheated. And I have some onions that I'm gonna throw in. The thing with saltfish is what I normally do is, because it's so salty, what I normally do is overnight, I'm gonna go ahead and soak it in some cold water. And then I let all the salt extract from the cold water. And when I wake up in the morning, then I throw away the water, add some more cold water in, and then when I'm ready to cook it, it should be perfect without any salt. I'm gonna throw in about two cloves of garlic. So I have about 2 cherry peppers that I chopped up, and I'm gonna add that in as well. So the saltfish looks like this. I already went ahead and chopped it up into really fine pieces, because then this way I don't have to actually break it up myself in the pan. So I'm gonna add that in, and I also took all the moisture out of it by just squeezing it into a paper towel. So this will get you a nice, dry, crispy saltfish. My saltfish crisps up really, really nice, and I added in 1 chopped Roma tomato. I took all of the seeds out of it and rinsed out the water from the tomato. For my next dish, I'm going to be making baigan choka, but I know a lot of people are going to cringe at the thought of how I make my baigan choka. I used to make it the old school way when I used to grill the baigan outside on my grill, or even in the house on the stove. Some people put it in the microwave. I prefer to just grill it, but I found a really great way to cut a lot of my time down. It's in a jar. I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it, don't judge it, don't knock it, but it's fire roasted grilled eggplant. It comes in a jar. There's several different brands. This is the brand that I like to use. It's called Galil, and you can find it at the Indian stores. And you know, it's already got like garlic and it's roasted eggplant, so it's got that baigan choka roasted smell. My pot has been preheating already, so I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into here. And once that heats up, I'm going to add my onions. So we're going to add in the onions. I also have about 3 cloves of chopped garlic and about 2 cherry peppers that I cut up. So we'll let that saute down for a little bit, and then we're going to add in the baigan choka from the jar. In goes the baigan choka. Now, one of the things I do is roast my tomatoes. You can put them in the oven and roast it for half an hour at 400 degrees, or you can put it on a grill, totally wherever your preference is. So here's my roasted tomatoes. I'm just gonna add it in with all those lovely juices that it let out. So I'm gonna let that cook for about 5 minutes and let all the flavors mix together. And I'm going to juice 1 lemon. And I'm gonna put it into the jar so that I can shake out whatever excess baigan choka is left in there as well. When this is about to be turned off, I'm just gonna drizzle this in. I'm gonna add some salt, about a teaspoon. Give this a good mix. It smells really good already. It smells authentic. So comment below and let me know if you actually try the baigan choka in the jar. You can find it in any of the Indian stores, Patel Brothers, Apna Bazaar. I think I even found it at Trader Joe's one time. So this is what my baigan choka looks like. My grandma lives in Canada. She is by far my biggest fan, and I asked her last night what she wants to see me prepare, and she said vermicelli. She wants me to make vermicelli, so I hope I do her justice by making this. It's a dessert that Guyanese people make, and it's just lovely. So Grandma, I hope you like my vermicelli. She's gonna be 90 years old in June. God bless her. She's doing amazing. My pan is heated, and to it I'm gonna add 1 stick of unsalted butter. I'm adding 2 cinnamon sticks because these cinnamon sticks are really skinny, so I feel like 2 would do justice to it, and about 5 cloves. All right, so the butter is all melted down, so I'm gonna start to add in the vermicelli. Just sprinkle it around and break it up while you're sprinkling it as well. This makes a really nice dessert. I make it into a cake form, but you can make it like a wet vermicelli, and that's really good too. My mom used to make that for us, and it was so good. We used to be literally sitting by the stove waiting for her to finish doing that so that we can have a hot, wet vermicelli. It was so yummy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lightly coat this with the butter and let it parch. So to get it like a golden brown, not really brown because you don't want it to look burnt. Lightly. Okay, so the vermicelli is getting a nice golden brown color. To it, I'm gonna add 1 can of carnation milk. And I have 1 can of condensed milk, but I took it out and let it get to room temperature so it's easier to manage with. And I took the can and I am gonna add the same amount of that in water. And you just let this boil, and once the vermicelli noodles are cooked, you can take it off the stove and place it into a baking pan and let it set, and you have a vermicelli cake. So this is my vermicelli. I poured it into here and I'm gonna let it cool. Sometimes people will add in nuts or raisins or cherries. My daughter's allergic to nuts and cherries, and my son doesn't like raisins. So I have a plain vermicelli, and I hope that it's doing justice from my grandma. So here, Grandma, vermicelli for you. So we're gonna fry some fish to go along with our food tonight, and I'm just lightly battering the fish with some flour, and I added a little turmeric into it. This is actually a whole whiting fish that I had the fish market basically just fillet it. So the fish is almost done frying. I wanted to mention that I seasoned this fish up with jerk seasoning, and just give it a little bit of a peppery kick. I lined my plate with a paper towel so that I can drain the excess oil on there, and the fish is all done. And this is gonna be yummy, especially with some nice pepper sauce. And there it is. Bake is just such a wonderful staple that goes well with baigan choka and salfish, and normally we'll eat this in the morning, like on a Sunday morning I'll get up and I'll make it, but because we're fasting it's too early for me to get up and make that, so we're gonna have it for dinner tonight instead. I have 5 cups of flour because I have guests coming over, so I want to make sure that I make enough bake. I have a 3/4 of a stick of unsalted butter that's softened at room temperature. I have about 3 tablespoons of oil, 3 tablespoons of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt. And I have about 3 cups of warm water, not super hot, just warm water. And I'm going to start to mix everything into here. And I'm going to add the baking powder into it. I'm going to add in the salt. And then what I do with the butter is I kind of break the butter up into the flour, just kind of, you know, squeeze through the butter and just kind of get as much of that butter coated in the flour as you possibly can. I'm going to drizzle in the oil and start mixing the oil in. I'm going to start to drizzle in the water. I might not use all 3 cups here, but I just have to like to have extra just in case, so I don't have to keep going back and forth to the tap. So just start incorporating the water into the flour, making a nice dough, similar to how you make roti, but you want this to be a little bit more stickier, is the way I like my dough for my bake. So I finished kneading the dough, and I have some flour on the side. I forgot to mention also that I added some sugar into the flour, about 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And the dough is nice and it's like kind of sticky almost. So I'm gonna make out the little loaves for the bake. So I want a small loaf for the bake. So I'm gonna go about a golf ball size, like that. Okay, so I managed to get 20 bakes, all uniform size. So this is just a damp paper towel. I'm gonna let it rest for about 20 minutes and then I'll come back to this. All right, so for my bakes, I just flattened it a little bit and I'm gonna use a rolling pin and just roll it out. I'm not gonna make them too big. They're pretty small, and I'm hoping that they're gonna rise, and we're gonna have about 20 bakes, so that should be okay. All right, one of the best ways to test to see if your oil is hot enough, you take a skewer and you stick it down to the center of the oil, and if it starts to bubble up around the center, which this is, that means your oil has come to the right temperature. And I went ahead and rolled the bake out a little bit, you know, wider than my palm, not that wide. And we're gonna drop this in here. Okay, so here's our fried bake. It's nice and swollen and it's got a beautiful color also to it. And I'll finish up the rest. So I'm going to be making some stuffed okra with bell peppers and eggplant. I'm also going to be drizzling it with some lemon juice. So let me show you how to prepare this. I try to buy the okras that are long and pointy on the ends and that are really clean on top and bright green, and the ones that also don't have you know, any softness to it. You want like a very stiff okra. So I slice them down the center in half, try to make them even, and then I scoop out all the inside, so all of the seeds. And you know, you can actually keep these seeds and plant them if you wanted to. So you basically just, you know, take everything out of the okra, and then what I do is I take the eggplant, these are baby eggplants, and I take them and I cut them into tiny slices like this, and I layer it into the guts of the okra, you know, 1, 2, maybe 3 slices. They're super thin and they fit right into the center. And then I take bell peppers. These are the baby ones, and you can use any colors you want to. These are the yellow I happen to be using, and I stuff those inside as well. I'm going to put 2 bell peppers so that it looks like this. So I have some lemon juice, and I'm going to drizzle the lemon juice on top of it. This is panko breadcrumbs, and what I did was I nuked it in the blender so that it's super, super fine. So let me show you. So it kind of looks like this, like almost like a flour consistency. And I added it some salt to the breadcrumbs, and I'm going to layer it on top as well. Just a fine dusting of breadcrumbs on the top. I'm going to take some EVOO, and I'm going to take a little bit at a time and drip it onto the breadcrumbs like this, and I'm going to bake this for 35 minutes at 400 degrees. And it's going to be a crispy okra with a nice stuffing that we're going to use to break our fast. Although I cooked so much, Noah went to the halal guys and he went and bought some gyros for him and Anita, and he actually bought me one to try. It's called the Impossible Gyro, which sounds yummy, so I'll try a little bit of that. And so there is our cookies from last night, the Happy Ramadan macaroons, our baigan choka. That saltfish looks yummy, nice and crispy. Fried bakes, and that's our fried fish. That is the vermicelli cake that I made that's setting. And those are our okros that we stuffed. They look so yummy. And Susie brought over some stuffed dates with pistachios. And she also brought some chana, and I have some persimmon and mango fruit so that we can break our fast. And look at what Layla made, sugar cookies, but she won't let me film her making anything, so it looks yummy.